We watched a couple spend 40 minutes at a SIM kiosk at Narita Airport. The plan they walked away with cost almost 3 times what we eventually paid. And that too for worse coverage across their entire Japan trip. We didn't know what we were doing on our first try either. We got it badly wrong and it cost us 20 extra minutes of total panic at Tokyo Disneyland. I'll tell you exactly what happened later in this video. Before that, I'm going to save you the trial and error. There is one connectivity mistake that leaves most Indian tourists completely offline the moment they land in Japan. It takes 30 seconds to fix this, but only if you know about it before you board. Every Japan travel vlog will tell you to get pocket Wi-Fi. In 2026, that is almost always the wrong answer. Here's what we actually used after a month of testing. If you've ever searched Japan eSIM for Indians or best SIM card for Japan, keep watching. We've been exactly where you are. This is your complete Japan Internet Guide for 2026. eSIM versus physical SIM versus pocket Wi-Fi. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which option is right for your trip, which providers to use, how much everything costs in Indian rupees, whether your eSIM works on the Shinkansen, and whether you can make calls from Japan. Nothing in this video is sponsored. We paid for everything ourselves. I've also made a free Japan connectivity cheat sheet, comparison table for all provider links, and a data calculator. I'll tell you how to get it before this video ends. We are Charmi and Harsh, the two happy passports. We are a vegetarian and Jain couple from Mumbai. For anyone new here, Jain means no onion, no garlic, no root vegetables, and we spent a month in Japan testing this firsthand. This is episode 3 of our Japan 101 series. Links to previous episodes are in the description below. If you're planning a Japan trip as an Indian vegetarian or Jain traveler, subscribe right now. Every week, we are adding a new episode to the series, all built specifically for people traveling from India. Shinjuku station alone has over 200 exits. Without Google Maps, you will get lost on day 1. Translate is how you read menus and ticket machines. None of it works without mobile data, and Japan's free public Wi-Fi needs separate registration at every location. It is not a substitute for a data plan. Now, let's get your phone working in Japan. What is an eSIM and whether your phone supports it? The option we recommend for most Indian tourists in 2026 is an eSIM. An eSIM is a digital SIM built into your phone. There is no physical SIM card, no kiosk, no queue. Buy online before you fly, scan the QR code they email you, install it in 2 minutes on your home Wi-Fi. Land in Japan, turn off your airplane mode, phone has data. So no queue at arrivals. If you bought your phone after 2020, 90% chances it supports an eSIM. iPhone XS onwards, recent Samsung and Pixel. Now, new for 2026 and almost nobody has this covered. Since the 1st of April, Japan requires a passport for every SIM and eSIM purchase, including data-only plans. So, buying online before you fly, you'll upload your passport at checkout. Buying on arrival, have it in your hand at the counter. One check, your phone must be unlocked. Some Airtel or Jio contract phones won't accept a foreign eSIM. Check settings under carrier or network before you buy. Locked phone, physical SIM is the best answer, which we will cover in a few minutes. One note, we personally used Airlo. That's the only eSIM we tested ourselves. Everything else on this list is 2026 research and not a personal experience. Phones compatible? Good. Now, which one do you actually buy? Here are best Japan eSIMs for 2026. 11 providers compared. I've split this into two categories. International eSIMs before you fly from India and Japan local eSIMs and physical SIM cards. All links are in the description. Let's start with international eSIMs. Buy before you fly. First, Airlo. What we used. Switched to this after the pocket Wi-Fi experience. Used it for the rest of the month across Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, USJ, Warner Brothers Studio, and the Shinkansen. Never dropped once. 10 gigabyte 30-day plan, about $18, 1700 rupees. SoftBank and KDDI hotspot supported. Indian cards are accepted. Two alternatives worth knowing. Holafly if you need unlimited data, $19 to $50 depending on duration. Hotspot capped at 500 megabytes per day. One honest warning about any plan sold as unlimited. Every provider in Japan has a fair usage policy. Use heavily enough and your speed gets slow, sometimes to unusable levels until the network resets. Unlimited means you won't run out. It does not mean always fast. And Nomad for rural itineraries, it switches carriers automatically when one drops in a tunnel or mountain passes. Link to both in the description. Japan local eSIMs and physical SIM cards. For itineraries going beyond the main cities, Japan local providers on NTT Docomo are worth knowing about. 11 providers on this chart screenshotted. The three that matter the most are Sakura Mobile for English support and airport pickup. Around 4,200 yen, which is 2,500 Indian rupees for a week of unlimited data with the same fair usage policy. Mobile, if you need a real Japanese phone number, the only one with the free incoming calls. Some restaurant reservations and Japanese apps only accept a local number. Gemio or B Mobile for a budget physical SIM at Big Camera or Yodobashi. All links are in the description. Two questions every Indian tourist should ask about eSIMs. Can you make calls? Data only on most Japan eSIMs. No Japanese number, but you don't need one. WhatsApp, FaceTime, Google Meet all work perfectly over your data. We called our hotel in Kyoto from the Shinkansen on WhatsApp. It worked perfectly. Does eSIM work on the Shinkansen? Yes. Strong coverage on all major routes. Brief drops in tunnels, auto reconnects in a few seconds. For mountain passes or rural Hokkaido, Nomad handles the handoffs most reliably. The mistake that leaves you offline on arrival. Installing your eSIM but forgetting to enable data roaming. For it, your phone has two lines, Indian SIM and Japan eSIM. If data roaming isn't on for the Japan eSIM specifically, your phone defaults to the Indian SIM, which either fails or racks up additional charges. I'll show you exactly where the setting lives in the setup walkthrough later on. Test it at home, not standing at Narita Airport. Pro tip, if your flight has Wi-Fi, install it in the air. One less thing to do at Narita Airport. Physical SIM cards and the OTP problem for Indians. Phone doesn't support eSIM or you simply prefer a physical SIM card, then this chapter is for you. Three places to buy your SIM card. Airport kiosks at Narita, Haneda and Kansai Airport, they need your passport and the queues might run from 15 minutes to 1 hour. Electronic stores like Big Camera and Yodobashi, often cheaper but you will have to wait until you reach the city. Lawson's 14,600 convenience stores. It is 24 hours open and cash is accepted. 3 GB for 7 days is roughly around 2,200 yen and that is around 1,300 Indian rupees. Now, the OTP problem. When you insert a Japan SIM card, your Indian SIM goes into your wallet. Your Indian number becomes completely unreachable. Bank OTPs from banks like HDFC, ICICI or any other Indian bank will not reach you. A friend of ours swapped SIMs at Narita Airport and tried to pay for a convenient dinner with their HDFC card. OTP went to a number sitting in their bag. Quick fix, finish every pending bank transaction while your Indian SIM is still active or on the plane, it works. And switch on Wi-Fi calling on Airtel or Jio before you fly. Your Indian number stays reachable over hotel Wi-Fi even with a Japanese SIM card in your phone. Now, because I promised you something at the start, free Japan connectivity sheet, full provider table, all links, data calculator, completely free. Comment connect below right now and I'll send it to you. Pinned comment and description have the link below. Now let's talk about Pocket Wi-Fi and what happened to us at Disneyland. Pocket Wi-Fi is a portable router. Every device on your trip shares its one data connection. For years, every Japan travel blog told you to get a pocket Wi-Fi. In 2026, for a solo traveler or a couple, it is almost always the wrong choice. 7-day unlimited rental from Ninja Wi-Fi or Japan Wireless runs 3 to 6,000 rupees. Remember the Disneyland thing I mentioned earlier? This is it. We picked up our pocket Wi-Fi at Narita Airport. First few days, it was excellent in Tokyo. Then at Tokyo Disneyland, I went ahead to grab a parade spot. Harsh went to the locker. The pocket Wi-Fi went with Harsh. I had no maps, no way to find Harsh, no way to contact him, no way to check anything for about 20 minutes. That evening, we switched to individual Airlo SIMs. Never looked back. The charging every night of pocket Wi-Fi was annoying enough, but the return policy is something nobody talks about. You have to return the device before you leave Japan. Miss the airport deadline and you are charged full replacement cost. Hence, pocket Wi-Fi works in two scenarios. Phone doesn't support eSIM or you are in a group of 5 or more people. For everyone else, eSIM is the best option. Quick word on Indian roaming. Jio, Airtel and V Japan packs run 500 to 1200 rupees per day. A 14-day trip could cost 17,000 rupees versus about 1700 for an eSIM. The one smart use, activate a single day of roaming when you land so your Indian number stays live for OTPs while this eSIM settles in. Then just drop it. A few questions that decide everything for you. Does your phone support an eSIM? If yes, Airload 10 GB data. Book it 30 days before you fly and you're done. If no, Sakura Mobile with airport pickup plan or at any Lawson. And remember the OTP rule. Finish your Indian banking and switch on Wi-Fi calling before you swap SIMs. If you're in a group of 5 or more, then Pocket Wi-Fi is the best choice. Pre-order it. Stock runs out during cherry blossom season and golden week. How much data do you need? We ran a full month on 30 GB data while filming every single day. A normal 2-week trip with maps, translate, WhatsApp, Instagram, and hotel Wi-Fi in the evenings uses 5 to 10 GB data. One thing nobody wants you, buy validity longer than your trip. A 30-day plan removes the mid-trip cutoff risk and airload tops up are instant if you run low. Let's talk about the eSIM setup in 5 steps. All can be done at home. Number 1, confirm the setting exists. Number 2, buy from the link in the description. 3. Install and label it as Japan data. Do not activate it yet. 4. Set Japan eSIM as data line. 5. Save QR codes to your phone's gallery. Land, turn off airplane mode. eSIM activates on its own. Data before you reach immigration. And here are 3 additional quick fixes. Activating but not connecting, then just restart. 90% issues are just resolved. Still no data, check data roaming is on for the Japan line specifically. If you lose QR code, Airlo and Holafly both have 24-hour support or reinstall from your camera roll. So, this is your complete Japan internet and connectivity guide for 2026. Every option, every price, and the setup that takes 2 minutes at home. If you still haven't grabbed the free connectivity cheat sheet, comment connect below. Full provider table, direct links, data calculator, all of it. So tell me in the comments if you're going for an eSIM, physical SIM or pocket Wi-Fi for your Japan trip. If this video saved you money or time you would have spent in queue, subscribe instantly. Next week is episode 4, the Harry Potter Studio Tour in Tokyo, the largest Harry Potter attraction in the world with sets that don't exist anywhere on the planet. We spent 9 hours there. And the entire Japan series is in the Japan playlist linked below. Watch every episode in order.